Welcome to the haunting world of Rob McCool, a fictional character, and Rob is haunted by only fictional characters as well as horrifying events like his mom's first and second hemorrhagic stroke, as well as adventures at school that are also truly terrifying. Based on things you see in Rob McCool's house, you might actually think it is haunted. And in the case of Rob McCool, his real life is far scarier than anything you encounter on Halloween. And it was on a dark and rainy night that Rob's mom, who had suffered her first hemorrhagic stroke 1 year, 9 months ago today, was transferred from the hospital to South Terre Skilled Nursing Facility to begin her recovery. Flash forward to Friday at the end of the day. Rob is heading into the conference room because he has received an email from his principal, Stormtrooper, telling him to meet with her and with Judy Hickenlooper about what happened with the student who threw the marker. Stormtrooper, principal, tells Rob that the boy's parents are not happy with how Rob handled the situation involving their son throwing the marker and then having him pick up trash off the floor. Then Judy Hickenlooper says to Rob, "Every year, Rob, you have students in your class who are stressed." Rob is thinking, that's applicable to this situation. How? And since when did being stressed in class turn into such a bad thing? Don't people do better when they have stress, have motivation? There are such things as good stress, bad stress. Unfortunately, Rob is often subjected to bad stress. These anguished weekends that Rob experiences are becoming much more frequent, and this was one of those anguished weekends. It began on Friday night, January 27th, the evening of the day where Rob was investigated for his actions with regard to the student who threw the marker. And Rob embarks toward South Terre to visit his mom, and in his mind he's thinking, well, I'm failing as a teacher. I might as well throw all of my efforts toward helping my mom recover. Stress-filled weekends because Rob tends to agonize over how things went and what he could have done differently. Reflecting back on what the lawyer said about Rob being a conscientious person, I almost think that my administrators knew that I would anguish over things that I had done because these meetings with Rob always seemed to take place on Fridays. Meanwhile, back at Freedom Maples Elementary School, events in Rob's life are taking on sinister qualities as the situation with the boy who flung the marker across the room continues to be a problem because his parents have now requested a meeting. The meeting took place in the Freedom Maples conference room. It was presided over by Judy Hickenlooper. Also, Counselor Luna Munson was there as well as the boy's parents. Judy Hickenlooper is speaking, and she is talking to the parents of the student who threw the marker in the classroom and had to pick up trash. Judy says, "I understand your concern that your son was upset about having to pick up the trash off the floor and then having to hurry to meet his mom after school so that he could go to some lessons that he had after school. As the result of this, your son will no longer have to do homework, and he is going to get breaks as needed throughout the day. Anytime he's feeling stressed in class, he may get up and go to the counselor's office. So this child throws a marker and is distraught because he has to pick up trash off the floor. Now he doesn't have to do homework anymore. And breaks. Oh, that's a go-to at Freedom Maples. Anytime a child doesn't want to do what he or she needs to do and makes enough of a fuss about it, and his or her parents get upset about it, then they implement breaks. Breaks as needed. Get up and leave the class. As a teacher in the Blue Pod said last year, what do these students need breaks for? These students never work. There was a time in education, not so long ago, when a child behaved inappropriately at school and the child was held accountable for his or her actions. Not so in the present day. A child misbehaves at school, in class, somewhere in school, somehow, some way, it's something the teacher did to trigger that child, and it's the teacher who's held responsible for the actions, not the child.
We're going now to combine the lifers.
You
come with me to see Mr. North.
No, we're good.
No, we're not.
Do it again.
Disclaimer time, that did not actually happen at Freedom Maples Elementary School, but situations similar to that have happened at Freedom Maples, and when something like that does happen, oftentimes it is the teacher who is blamed. A fellow 5th grade teacher with whom Rob used to work had a situation where a student became frustrated with the teacher, got up, ran out of the room, slammed the door. Afterward, the social worker came down and talked to this teacher and asked the teacher these questions. What did you say to this boy that caused him to be so upset? In what way did you trigger him? What did you expect him to do that caused him to run out of the room like he did? Let's see. I expected him to sit quietly and listen while I taught the lesson. Then I gave him an assignment and expected him to work on it independently. Oh, I see. That's where you failed. In the future, do whatever you need to do to keep him happy. Yes, classrooms at Freedom Maples used to be orderly. There were high expectations. Students were held accountable for their actions. Now they are nightmare classrooms where the students are the ones in charge. They are allowed to misbehave, and if they do, and the teacher has the audacity to hold those students accountable, then it is the teacher who is punished. Meanwhile, at South Terre, Rob's mom, who 1 year 9 months ago suffered a devastating hemorrhagic stroke, which pretty much blotted out the left side of her brain, and she is attempting to adjust to her new environment. It was Saturday, and Rob arrived as the residents were getting ready to eat their lunch. Those residents included his mom, and Rob saw some things that surprised him. What did Rob see? Well, to find out, be sure to tune in the next edition of Rob McCool's Guide to Freedom, and Rob McCool meets another sinister force. To find out what that's all about, be sure you tune in the next edition.